Hey, this is Tim Vasquez. We're going to kind of walk you through the upcoming blizzard in the Northeast, kind of show you the forecast side of what's happening. I haven't really done any videos since July because things have been very boring weather-wise. So I've been working on other projects, writing and keeping up on orders, all that stuff. So we're starting to get back into an active weather pattern. I don't really follow the TV or the news or anything like that, so I'm going to walk you through this just as we would see with a first glance. I haven't looked at any charts or anything like that, so I'm going to show you how to unravel things from the top down, from square one. We're looking at here at the 500 millibar chart. This is up at about 18,000 feet. This shows us basically the equivalent of pressure aloft. These are height lines. And the first thing that I notice, this chart is for tonight, by the way, we can kind of paint out the jet stream kind of looking like that. Getting a little bit of lag here for some reason, but there we go. So a very wavy jet stream pattern. We've got two major troughs aloft. We've got this one out in the Pacific. We have another one through the central U.S. Looks like that one in the central U.S. and the one off the coast, they combine to kind of paint out a large, long wave off the East Coast that looks like that. So what are we looking at for the Northeast? We've got this system in Texas. This is where it was during the evening hours, and that's, of course, heading up toward the Northeast U.S. And we've got vorticity painted on here. That's a measure of the curvature and shear. And we've got a very strong element of curvature and shear here. This is representing mid-level energy, and that's concentrated right here between Texas and Louisiana. So we're going to watch this over the next couple of days, or the next day. Things are coming together pretty quick here. So we are looking at our focus area, Louisiana, Arkansas, out ahead of this shortwave. What do we have at the surface? Let's take a look. Here's the surface chart for 9:30Z. So this is going to be about 3:30 in the morning Central Time. So what do we got here? Well, I don't have isobars or anything like that painted on, but I can easily see what's going on. Question is, where is the warm air? That's the first thing that I'm looking for. Well, I've got 50s there in Florida. Southeast wind, not much in the way of cloud cover. So nice 59-degree air. So what I like to do is kind of like follow it northward and see how the air mass changes. We get 57 here in southern Georgia, and now you see it starts falling off to 50 there. I don't know what station that is. Just north of Plains, I guess. Jimmy Carter's got a little spread out in this area here. So yeah, we get 50 there and then drops off to 46 and things really fall off. So as you go north from Florida, this is where the change in air mass occurs. So that's probably going to be our warm front. Let's look along the East Coast. We got 59 there at Daytona Beach, 53 at Jacksonville, and even 58 there. That's not Savannah, it's somewhere south there. I don't know what station that is, but even we got 54 there at Savannah, even 51 there at Charleston. But as you go inland, you pick up 45 there, just a little bit inland in South Carolina. So somewhere in here, that's probably where the front is. So we're going to kind of paint it like that. That's our warm front. So we'll follow this a little bit westward. We got 63 there along the Gulf Coast there, Panama Beach, 63, 57 now. You can see as we go north into Alabama, it drops off 57 there, 50, 49, very cool. So we can bring that front westward like that. And now you see that flow sweeping southeastward from Texas across Louisiana. Very strong gusty winds. So looking at that, it's pretty easy to kind of pick out where the cold front is. So there we got a cold front. And normally we would paint that in blue, but I can't remember the key press colors, or the key press combination, so I'm just going to kind of draw that on there. So there's our cold front. Here's our warm front. And right here is where the northwesternmost part of that wedge of warm air is. So right there, that's what we call the triple point. That's not necessarily the low pressure area. We would have to do an isobar analysis to know for sure, but that is the triple point, and that's kind of like where ground zero is for baroclinicity. That's where we get very strong development of upper level energy coming together, actually through the entire atmosphere. So that's what we're going to be watching for heading up towards the northeast. There's probably a low up in this region, but that's north of the triple point. This is actually where the system is kind of decaying. Probably a surface low right there. If I look at the surface plots, I can see 995, 996. So there's a 996 low in there. It's definitely lower than what we have to the south, but that is a decaying low pressure area, probably tied in with the upper level, the coldest upper level conditions. That probably ties in with the southern system in the form of a occluded front. So what else do we got going on? We've got a little bit of damming going on west or east of the Appalachians. See these cold 20s? We've got 29 there at Asheville, 33 there at Greensboro. Is that Greensboro? And 31, very cool air. We've got the Appalachians going right through this area right here, and the cold air is sort of originally it was trying to flow eastward like that, but it kind of got blocked by that mountain range right there. So that's kind of allowed the cold air to kind of like hang on. And as we go north, another prime ingredient there. You see the dew points up here, 14 there at Jackson, Kentucky, 16 around can't remember what station that is, but there's some very low dew points. In fact, there's 7 right there, or actually 17. There's kind of a spread there between the temperature and dew points, so there's dry air filtering in from the northeast, and that's kind of a key ingredient in allowing wet bulbing of the air mass. So in this northern fringe, Kentucky, Tennessee, we're going to see temperatures falling pretty good, probably to the wet bulb temperature, and that'll help chill this area quite a bit. The temperatures were a little bit higher earlier today, but they've dropped off as we've had this precipitation forming. So the wet bulb process has actually been going on for quite a while. And as far as what else is going on, well, we've got cold air advection coming in across Louisiana. We've touched on the warm air mass, and that wedge is going to be kind of moving northward with a storm system. And we'll probably see that on the model charts. I'll bring that up in a minute. So I don't want this video to go 20-30 minutes, so I'm going to kind of run through this very quickly. We'll take a quick look at the radar. Not going to do anything too fancy here, but just kind of give you an idea where the precip is. Pretty good squall line coming out ahead of that cold front. You remember the warm front was going through southern Georgia, right through here. You can see the stronger cells are kind of attached more towards the warm sector, so down to the south. And as we go northward, we get less instability, more of a stratiform type character to the precipitation area. And as we get back into Arkansas, Mississippi, we've got convection back in the cool air. This is a showery, cold core type stuff. This is associated with the upper level low, or the upper level troughing. So during the daytime, this would be a prime area for like hailstorms, maybe not really this time of year, but certainly some very interesting showers they tend to get going if we get a little bit of sunshine coming back into this sector. At nighttime, not so much. A lot of it's more forced. So I'm going to go ahead and just run through the models real quick. We're looking at the GFS here. What do we got going on for morning? Run this up 12 hours. And I'll see if I can park that there. I don't know if it's going to let me. There we go. Come on. There. Can't quite get that to stay. There we go. So there's 12Z. This is going to be about 6 in the morning. A lot of the energy is focused in Alabama, coming into Georgia. In fact, it looks like maybe the surface system is outrunning it a little bit. Looking at the actual 9Z products, it looks like it's going a little bit faster than the model guidance, so that's something to watch for. If I was really concerned about the forecast details along the East Coast, I would probably factor that in. For tomorrow afternoon, 0Z, actually this is tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. Eastern, we've got the dynamics moving into Georgia and South Carolina. So the question is, where's the warm front? Where's the cold front? Well, let me draw the jet stream in really carefully. I'm going to draw this in with the strongest mid-level winds. So there we go. That's kind of where the jet stream is. We're going to expect to find the cold front about halfway between the upper level trough and the downstream upper level ridge, about probably the halfway. That's kind of the basic rule of thumb. We find the inflection point between the ridge and the trough, and that's about where a triple point would be, right there. And south from that we would find the cold front, and then east from that we would find the warm front. So hopefully this isn't getting too confusing. But of course we know that with systems like that, a lot of that tends to actually be a little bit further inland. So there's probably a little bit of error with this guess. So this is just an initial estimate. We're going to expect to find that triple point somewhere in the South Carolina area, North Carolina. And of course that'll be riding up north with on the edge of the Gulf Stream and just off the coast. What do we got for the overnight hours? Let me run this to, this is going to be Saturday morning. You can see the upper level low starting to close off over the Carolinas. So it appears that the system is slowing down just a little bit. Looks like it's going to be going, most of the dynamics are going to be going through North Carolina and Virginia at this time, assuming the GFS has got a handle on it. And then by evening on Saturday, got the low closed off around Cape Hatteras, and don't really have a push up to the north, but we're probably getting a broad shield of precipitation all the way up to New England, New York, Pennsylvania. Certainly expecting that, since even though the system may be offshore, there's going to be a warm conveyor belt that's going to be probably be pushing in kind of like that, and that's a good pattern for getting good snowfall precipitation inland. So it looks like this kind of slow progression is going to be contributing to what's going to be going on in the Northeast. And just a quick look before we wrap this up, I'm going to pull up the NAM. This is the WRF. I'll just pull it up for North America here. This is the 0Z run for Friday morning. And let me switch this over to the surface. Now that we have kind of a picture of the basics, what's going on aloft, we can kind of like stack down to the surface and see what we got. 12Z for Friday. Let me scroll down a little bit here. In fact, let me move the window. Can't seem to move the window. Yeah, there we go. Okay, Friday 0Z. Friday 12Z. Okay, this is going to be Friday morning. The NAM has got the occluded low. Remember that low that we found that was up around Tennessee? It's got it painted right here around northern Alabama. So this is probably more in line with the occlusion. And then the actual triple point is going to be down to the south. This is getting kind of off the bottom edge of the chart. But what we would do is take that, find that location of that triple point, and kind of correlate that with the surface data. And doing that, we can kind of get an idea if the model has got a handle on this situation. Let me run this up to the evening hours. Now we're up to Friday night at 0Z. And it's showing that damming is persisting It's hanging up the occluded low kind of over the Atlanta area right there. You can see the triple point is starting to progress up the coast right there around Savannah. And we would paint the warm front kind of like that. That's kind of in line with the upper air data that we saw earlier. And here's the cool air mass right there. It's kind of like wedged in between the Appalachians and the warm front, kind of right there. So that's actually kind of a dome that, when we're looking at isentropic lift flowing northward, that's a pretty good, we're going to get pretty good ascent with that warm conveyor belt riding up over that front, and that's going to help squeeze a lot of good precipitation out over the Carolinas for Friday evening. Then we get into Saturday morning. Let me run this up to 12Z on Saturday, and we got the triple point now just off the coast of the Delmarva. There's Delaware. So we're looking at the triple point in this area. Don't really find the occlusion at the surface. So we're looking at the cold front kind of like that, the warm front like that. And basically anywhere along the coast in proximity to this triple point, we're going to be looking at some pretty good precip coming out of this. So there we go, New Jersey, Delmarva, Delaware, Maryland. We're going to be looking at Saturday morning for kind of the peak of the precipitation here. Then towards evening, triple point is still kind of offshore off the coast of, or pretty much a beam of New York City. Draw out the warm front real quick and the cold front. This system is a little bit offshore, so that's going to be one factor that I'm sure the effects would be a lot stronger if this is more inland, but still that's going to, we're still going to see a lot of good precip with that. And then by Sunday morning, it's starting to move mostly towards Nova Scotia. We're getting some strong blustery northerly wind coming into New York. And these temperatures here, let's see, can't really interpret too much of the temperature values because there's some smoothing in here, but it looks like I'm trying to pick out what kind of readings we're looking at. 0, 5. It's hard for me to tell what temperatures those are, and I'd have to scroll down to the legend. Yeah, so purple is basically anything below freezing, so it looks like there's some warming going on here with the system. Okay, and the temperatures with this system by Saturday night, we're looking at, if we look at the red values there, we're looking at 20s. Let's see, there's 5, there's 10, there's 15. So yeah, all this area is going to be below freezing. And what's happening out to the west? We don't want to fixate too much on what's going on here in the east. We always look for stuff going on out west that may be rolling down our way, and it looks pretty quiet. I see kind of a low pressure system up over the, southern Canada, the prairie provinces right there, like maybe the very start of an Alberta Clipper, but overall very quiet, and nothing really going on the west coast either. I'll run this up to a 60-hour point, nothing going on. All we see here is some troughing on the lee side of the Rockies, southerly flow into Texas, nothing coming out of Canada really, just maybe kind of a weak push of cold air coming into the Great Lakes, and it looks quiet there on the Pacific, so probably a kind of a mild start to next week. So that's just a quick run through of the charts. I wanted to kind of give you an idea what's going on and kind of maybe see if we can kick off some more programming on this YouTube channel, because it's always fun when there's stuff going on, and maybe if we can pull out of some of this winter boredom, we can maybe get a few systems heading our way and check them out and try to learn a little bit about the meteorology and the forecasting behind them. Anyway, we'll hopefully see you tomorrow night, or maybe even during the day, and we'll keep tabs on the system.